Hi, this is Dr. Bharadwaz. I am subject matter expert in clinical interactive systems at ClinGenius Research. Today we are going to discuss on the topic of cohorts from IRT perspective. There are different perspectives of cohort, but we are going to discuss only from the perspective of IRT. IRT, we handle cohorts in bit different way. How do we handle, what to do, what are the parameters? We'll look into that completely. Cohort is grouping of subjects based on the shared characters. So basically we are grouping the subjects here. So how we can group the subjects here? We can group the subjects based on their age, based on their geographical location, based on the gender, based on the race or ethnicity. We can group the patient based on their physiology, based on the diseases they have, or else based on the treatment which they are currently taking or previously taken, and also what risk that the subjects has. And these are few examples. For example, how do we group the patient based on the age? On the age, we can group the patients as child cohort or adult cohort or elderly cohort. So these are the various forms of cohorts we see in IRT. Next thing is control. We need to have control over the cohorts. From the IRT perspective, the more control we have on the cohorts, the better the system is. For example, in IRT, we can have manual controls or also automatic controls. Automatic controls are taken care by the system without the human intervention, and also IRT system should have manual controls as well. When we want, we should be able to control the cohorts manually. So basically controls are the ability of a IRT system or a particular role when given permission to regulate the system. That means to regulate the activity of the cohorts to achieve the desired goal for a protocol. So when we regulate the system, it is controls. Various controls we have with an example. So if I say the first control is the progression. If I say progression is single, only one cohort is open at a time and patient can be recruited into only one cohort at a given point in time. Child, adult and elderly cohort. If child cohort is open, you cannot recruit patients into adult cohort or elderly cohort. If adult cohort is open, you cannot recruit patients into child or elderly. In the same way, if elderly cohort is open, you cannot recruit patients into child or adult. This is single cohort. Then what are parallel cohorts? In parallel cohorts, more than one cohort is opened at a time and patient can be recruited into more than one cohort at a given point in time. For example, if you can able to recruit the patients into child and adult cohort, or you can recruit the patient into child and elderly cohorts, or if you can recruit the patient at a given point in time in all the three, adult, child and elderly cohort, then we call them as parallel cohort. Next control, that is a sequence. Based on the sequence, it can be sequential. In sequential cohort, the cohort has to be opened in an order. Each cohort will be given a number for order and it has to be opened in the same way. For example, in this case, child is opened first, after that adult is opened, after that elderly cohort is opened. Okay, and if the sequence is random, any cohort can be opened at any point in time. I can directly open elderly cohort, and after that I can open child cohort, after that I can open adult cohort. So if it is random, then I can recruit the patients into any of the cohorts at any point in time. The next control we have is reopen. We have two parameters in it: reopen cease and reopen resume. When you cease reopen, once a cohort is closed, you cannot recruit the patients into that cohort again. If reopen is resume, you can open the cohort which is already closed. For example, if you have closed child cohort and after some time you want to open child cohort again, so if the reopening is ceased, you cannot open it. Open autonomy, this is related to opening of new cohorts. It can be done in two ways: either you can open manually or automatically. In manually, what happens, the user or the role with the permission has to open a particular cohort. But in automatic, what happens is when the previous cohort is closed, the next cohort is opened automatically by the system. For example, in this case, manually you can open child cohort, manually you can open adult cohort, or manually you can open elderly cohort. But when it is automatic, when the child cohort is closed, it will automatically open adult cohort. When adult cohort is closed, it will automatically open elderly cohort. This is about open autonomy. Close autonomy, how are the cohorts closed here? So it is of two types. One is manual. Manually you can close the cohort, or child cohort or adult cohort or elderly cohort. In automatic, the system itself will close a particular cohort when the cap is met. So a child cohort will be closed when cohort cap is met, or elderly cohort is closed when cohort cap is met. or when adult cohort is closed, when adult cohort cap is met. This is about closed autonomy. The one more important thing you have to know about cohorts is treatment list. So how do we handle treatment list in cohort? For example, if there are two kinds, one is a common treatment list and one is individual treatment. In common treatment list, each row or each entry is assigned to a particular cohort. For in this case, each row is specified for whether it is for child cohort or adult cohort or elderly cohort. This is about common treatment list. When we have individual treatment list, each cohort is assigned with a particular treatment list. So for example, child cohort will have a separate treatment list, elderly cohort will have a separate treatment list, or adult cohort will have a separate treatment list when the treatment list is individual. Next thing you have to know about is collecting the cohort details and assigning the cohort to a subject. These are two different things. You can collect generally in IRT, you collect the cohort details either in pre-screening, either in screening, or in treatment assignment visit. But when you assign the subject to a particular cohort, it is generally assigned in treatment assignment visit only. So as we have cohort related entries in treatment list, so this has to be done. The subject has to be assigned to the particular cohort in treatment assignment visit generally. So these are about the cohorts from IRT perspective. If you have any challenges regarding IRT, so you want to develop a new cohort functionality, or you want to improve an existing cohort functionality, or you are having issues with the existing cohort functionality, so reach out to us. We'll be helping you in that regard. Not only cohorts, with any other thing, any other challenge you have with the interactive responses. Thank you.